What's going on, folks? This is Devlin, the Comic James, aka Mr. Apathy, coming at you with another video. Hope all's well. I don't know, is it just me, or does it seem like most American women are under the misconception that they have all the frickin' time in the world? All the time in the world. All the time to act bitchy. All the time to act stuck up. All the time to basically act like assholes. Well, this video I'm going to give you another example of what I'm talking about. Only in this video, well, since I am a black man and I typically date black women, I deal with black women, I'm going to be talking about a black woman. Someone that I knew back in the day, and someone that I still see. And this is someone I work with, someone that I still see on a day-to-day basis. But like I said, most American women, and in this case, I think most American black women, are under that misconception that they have all the time in the world. And in the case of black women, they also feel that they have this great genie in the sky that will grant them the desires of their heart in the form of the perfect man or the perfect husband. I'm talking about the type of women that go to church on the regular, and they're looking to, quote unquote, the Lord to bring them the perfect man. Now, the thing about these women is they're very particular in the type of men that they're looking for. Basically, as I see it, they want the 3 sixes. The 3 sixes when it comes to a man. First, he has to be over 6 feet tall, because, you know, they like to wear their heels when they go out. Next, he has to make 6 figures, whether he owns his own business or works for a corporation. And thirdly, he has to own a BMW M6 or the equivalent. The problem with these women is that the church that they attend on the regular generally fuels this crap by telling them that God will grant them the desires of their heart if they remain faithful and keep coming to church and keep kicking up their 10%. So these women will generally live their lives with this delusion, shooting down any guy that comes into their lives if they don't even measure up to this 3 sixes standard, if they don't even come close. It's all fine and good when they're young and they don't know any better. What happens when they get older and less desirable and Mr. Perfect still hasn't walked into their lives? Have any of you guys out there come across any woman like this in your travels? I know I can't be the only one. Anyway, as I always do in my videos, let me give you guys a real life example of what I'm talking about and this type of woman. Now, this happens to be a woman that I've worked with for about the last 8 years. And prior to the last 8 years, I knew her from a previous job. But anyway, this woman, I'll tell you about her fall from glory. Because anyone can see from looking at her that her time has ran out. See, I ran into her last Friday, and we chatted briefly. And me and her have a little history. Like I said before, I met her at a previous job. And within 8 years, or I'd say early on, we used to hang out a lot when I lived in New Jersey. Now, everything is strictly platonic between us. Nothing ever went down, for those of you who were curious. We never had any type of intimate relationship. And just to avoid any bullshit, should she ever come across this video, let's just call her Alicia. So back when I started this job, Alicia was a fine looking sister. She had her hair done, her nails done, everything did. She was basically one of those fancy chicks. Fancy and sophisticated. Anyway, Alicia had a strict policy when it came to dealing with men. One, he needed to have a good credit rating, a 720 or better. Two, he had to have his own place, with a fireplace, preferably. Three, he must be making six figures, because he needed to be able to pay that mortgage, since he was a man. At least this is what she would tell you. So here's a woman in her mid-30s at the time, and she had all these different criteria for a potential mate. And notice in all that, there's no mention of personality. No mention of how this man should be as far as the type of person, type of values he brings to the table. Everything is just basically materialistic. So all you know, or so what you can see already, and you have to excuse me, I'm a little tired as I'm making this video. So excuse me if I mix my words. But just from what I'm telling you, you already know that all she's looking for is a damn utility, like most of these American women. I should also mention that Alicia was, and is, I still believe, very much involved with the church, which, like I mentioned earlier, it fuels a lot of delusion in these women, especially. And women like Alicia never seem to have a firm grasp on reality, in my opinion. Anyway, I used to hang out with her a lot back in this time. We go out to the movies, we go out to eat, we go out to comedy clubs. We'd even travel into New York City and catch, different shows. And it was all Dutch all the time. I wasn't simping on the sister. Alicia didn't have a man. In fact, all the time I've known her, all the years, I never once saw her with a man or with a boyfriend. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was kind of feeling her back in the day. Not knowing any better at the time. I suggested at one point that the two of us should think about dating, since we already go out together anyway, and we knew so much about each other. Well, she quickly shot that down, which was really a blessing looking back. See, at the time, of course at the time I didn't own the property that I do. At the time I was renting a room. At the time I was building myself up. So there was no way that she was actually going to give me the time of day. She tried to do it in a nice way, but really looking back, she really did me a favor. Because who needs to be with a woman who just looks at you as a utility? I mean, really, what would I do with a woman like that? Honestly, the more I got to know her personally as a person, the more turned off I became. She told me that if she were to get married, she expects that she shouldn't have to pay any bit of the mortgage because that's the man's job. So basically, she wants to hold on to her money and spend all of his money, like most American women. What about cooking, I asked her. Would you cook for your husband? Well, why should I have to cook for him? I'm working too. He should be cooking for me. And they fucking wonder why none of them have men, or why no men out there checking for them. Who in their right mind would want to deal with this shit? But the thing that turned me off the most about this chick was an incident with her and her church in which this genius of a woman gave up an entire paycheck to that goddamn offering basket. An entire paycheck, guys. Okay? She told me this shit, and I looked at her like, you're a fucking idiot. Well, it was a first fruit offering where you give the Lord all the first fruits of your labor. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Good God. That's why I could never be with a dumbass woman like this. I lost all respect for that woman when she told me this. Could you imagine being married to a chick like this, and she does some dumb shit like that, and because of that, you end up coming up short on your mortgage? Could you imagine that shit? Now, I would never put my hands on a woman, and I don't advocate doing this. But in a case like this, if I was married to a woman that got hustled by the church, and as a result, my money was fucked up behind it because I can't pay my bills, because this chick decided to give an entire paycheck to the church, I can see blacking the fuck out. Then coming 2 hours later in police custody, trying to explain what the hell happened. I don't know what happened, officers. She said something about giving up a whole fucking paycheck to her church for some offering. I just blacked out when I realized that I wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage this month. I don't know what the hell happened. And I don't know how my foot ended up being buried so deep in the crack of her ass. Yeah, I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. But I understand why she did that bullshit. She was really just making an investment on her dream husband. She probably figured that if she showed herself to be faithful to the Lord in giving so much, giving a whole goddamn paycheck, that he would turn around and bless her with that man. With the man that came with the 3 sixes. Man who will be able to cater to her and take care of her for the rest of her life and put up with her fucking bullshit. Well, I can tell you that the pastor was really the only one to benefit from her dumbass. He was probably driving a frickin' Bentley by now. Oh, the story gets better. Because this girl went on a campaign. Alicia went on a goddamn campaign. I remember this. And this shit has come to me as I'm making this video. See, she had friends. She had 2 other friends that I met one time. We went to a comedy club. Fine looking sisters. One in particular I remember. Oh man, she was fine. And she would talk about him. I don't think that... I think they broke up. You know, I don't think she talks to any of the girls anymore. One girl she always used to butt heads with, and she was a fine sister. I think she ended up... Well, I know she had a man. And the 2 of them, they just split at one point. They had some type of argument. She may be married by now. I know the other one definitely got married. And she used to talk about both of them. I think she used to hate on these women. The other girl, she was like, man, this girl was getting her freak on for real, for real. I don't know about that. No. Well, this girl that was getting her freak on was dating some younger man. And I guess she must have been putting it on him fierce because that boy turned around and got her a wedding ring. Ended up marrying her, and I guess they moved out of state. Probably living somewhere in Texas or something. So seeing this, she went on her own goddamn campaign. I'm going to get a husband. I'm going to find a man in a couple years. And she started wearing the fanciest things at work. Her hair was, her hair was really done up. She was showing off her legs at that job, and I'll tell you something about Alicia. She had a pair of the sexiest legs on a woman. Sexy, sexy legs. So she went on this big ass campaign. Never found a man. Definitely didn't find a husband. See, there were men who were interested in her. Aside from me being shot down, one of her girlfriends kept trying to introduce her, or kept trying to push her brother on her because the brother was interested. And I told her, and this is the time after she shot me down. I'm looking at this girl. I'm thinking, man, you're getting older. I don't know how much time you have. I didn't say that to her. I'm thinking, I don't know how much time you have with this bullshit. And she'd tell me about, the guy. I'm like, well, why don't you go for him? Oh, well, he's not making enough. He only has like a 2-year degree at his job, and da-da-da-da-da. And I don't know if he's going to be doing anything further, and such and such and such. So that was shot out of the water. I don't know with these women, man. I really don't. They turn down potentially good men for bullshit. I think they really feel empowered when they do that shit. When they turn a man down, or they know that a man is interested in them, they feel like empowered somehow because they're still waiting for that dream husband, right? Anyway, they may win those little battles when they turn guys down. And guys, if you should come across women like this who turn you down for whatever reason, well, hopefully you ain't trying to marry these chicks, because, marriage is just bullshit in America. It's really a disadvantage. And really, you should count it a blessing when these women turn you down, because do you really want to deal with their bullshit on a long run? Do you really want to be a goddamn utility? So what happened to our old girl Alicia years later? I guess in recent years. Well, surprise, surprise, her dream husband never came. In fact, she never even had a man. From all the time and all the years I knew her, this is going back 8 years working at this job, and 2 years working at a job before where I met her initially. No man. And her good fancy looks have diminished. She doesn't look like the same person, man. She was in her mid-30s when I knew her. She's in her early 40s now. Early or mid-40s. And she looks even older than that. Really, if you see her today as compared to what she looked like, 8 years ago, total different person. Total different person. It looks like if she's given up, basically. And she doesn't take the time out to make herself look fancy anymore. Her hair is all fucked up now. She wears it in like this messed up afro. Honestly, it even looks as if she's starting to go bald in some areas. It's really a sad story. And I'm not saying all this to make fun of this girl at all. I'm just telling you how it is and how it looks. Other women at the job have actually made comments to me about how bad she looks. Other women have done that. You know how some women get down? They're always talking shit. As far as her figure goes, well, let's just say that gravity and years of not going to the gym have taken its toll on her. Now, Alicia isn't fat at all. She just has a droopy, formless body. Like I mentioned, back in the day, she had a pair of the sexiest legs you would find on a female. Now, there's nothing appealing about her at all. Ain't nobody checking for Alicia, man. Especially no man who has the 3.6s. No man who's 6 feet tall. No man making 6 figures. And no man driving an M6. She can really forget about that shit. Honestly, She needs to take her ass back to that church and ask for a refund. Every once in a while, I have a conversation with her in passing. And because I'm such a complete and utter dick, I almost always ask, "So what's new? Any new flames in your life?" I always get a dry expression. "Now you know I'm not talking to anybody, but it's all good because I'm okay by myself. Don't need no one in their drama, you know. I don't need no man." To which I always answer, "You go ahead, girl. You're right. You don't need anybody." Let me tell you, that woman is as lonely as fuck. Sometimes you have to run the other way when you see her, or else you're going to get caught in some long ass conversation about bullshit. Honestly, I don't even feel sorry for her because she bought that shit on herself. Her and other women like her. They think they have all the time in the world to pick and choose through the small pool of men they come across. They're quick to turn down a man because either they're not tall enough, or they don't make enough money, or they don't drive that, wonderful car or whatever. Basically, they can't keep them in that lifestyle that they want. Then, as time goes on, that pool of men diminishes until finally these women find themselves ass out in a desert. I want to say in closing to all the women out there like Alicia, your time has ran out, sister, and you have no one else to blame but yourself. Get used to a life of solitude because don't nobody want your ass now. You might have won the battle when you were turning these different guys down and making them feel like shit, making them feel stupid for even desiring you in the first place. You might have won those battles, but you lost the war. Anyway, that's it for me. Just share my thoughts. Leave comments if you guys have similar stories or have come across similar women like this. Definitely feel free to leave a comment. This is Devlin James, signing off.